Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to talk about the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We have some good news there. We also have an analyst expecting Bitcoin's top in March of 2025. And then we have a few articles going over the Bitcoin miners. Let's start with this spot Bitcoin ETF news. Yesterday, January 6th, spot Bitcoin ETF flows surged to a 6-week high of nearly $1 billion. The highest inflow since November 21. And the trading day before that, so last Friday, we saw $908 million of inflows. And this helps reverse our trend of outflows since December 19. We saw about 1.97 billion of outflows since December 19. And in this 2 days, it basically wipes it out. We also saw GBTC and Grayscale's mini ETF with inflows. Check this out, more than 9,000 Bitcoin has entered the spot Bitcoin ETFs per day over the past 2 trading days. Significantly more than the 450 Bitcoin mined per day. And as said by Eric Balchunas, I would have predicted a rough patch for the Bitcoin ETFs given the drop below 100K, overdue for a breather in parentheses, but no, they roared back with nearly 1 billion on Friday. Since then, Bitcoin's reclaimed 100,000, and the products have seen another day with almost a 1 billion in inflow. And lately, we've also been seeing inflows from the spot Ethereum ETFs. I do think the market's ramping up for altcoin season. I do think we're going to see a lot more inflows from the spot Ethereum ETF moving forwards. And I do think there's even a good chance of seeing net inflows this year from GBTC. We also have Arthur Hayes predicting that Bitcoin's going to top out in March of 2025. He warns of headwinds like debt ceiling negotiations, but expects things to go good on the short term because of dollar liquidity. Hayes anticipates an influx of 237 billion in liquidity during Q1. Stemming from the Federal Reserve's declining reverse repo facility and the U.S. Treasury's spending of its general account to address the debt ceiling. He estimates that total liquidity could reach 612 billion by the end of March. And Hayes reveals that Maelstrom, the company he's with, they're moving towards decentralized science tokens or DeSci tokens, an emerging sector leveraging blockchain to facilitate scientific research. Interesting. We might have to go down that rabbit hole at some point. Now, does anyone truly know where things top out? Does anyone have a crystal ball? No. Most people in the crypto space do expect Bitcoin to top out at some point in 2025, whether it's early 2025, whether it's later 2025. If you're following the cycle, it should be late 2025. If you're following into global expansion, it should be late 2025, if not early 2026 even. One thing we'll have to do is play it as we go. If Bitcoin pumps like crazy in the first quarter, it definitely won't be a bad idea to trim some profits. Say Bitcoin pumps to 150K, which is my cycle target, I will start taking some profits at 150K. And if it comes in the first quarter of 2025, I do think there's a really good chance of a major correction, potentially back to 100K. Crypto will be volatile. We're not just going to go straight up. There are going to be huge corrections. In my opinion, as long as you follow the cycle, as long as you follow indicators like the Pi cycle top indicator. There are many indicators that will point to us when Bitcoin has topped out, and I'll leave them down below in the description for you guys. We also have another article here. Bitcoin aims for 112,000 amid rising demand from whale investors. Bitcoin's prices rallied in tandem with stock indexes in the recent past amid heightened demand from whale investors. More traditional financial institutions are betting on a Bitcoin rally after the inauguration, as US Congress certified Donald Trump's presidential election ahead of a much anticipated inauguration in 2 weeks. Bitcoin gained some bullish momentum. Although we are retesting the 50 MA currently. Bitcoin rallied above 100K for the first time in 2025. We are now under 100K again. Bitcoin's fear and greed index surged to around 78%, pretty high, but not necessarily where things should top out. And according to this analyst, Captain F, Bitcoin price has successfully rebounded from the lower border of an ascending wedge formation with a midterm target of about 112K. Bitcoin ascending broadening wedge formation on the 8-hour, expecting another bullish rally soon. And then there's the last part, they bring up the spot Bitcoin ETFs and the inflows there. We talked about that. That's something also to think about this year. How do the spot Bitcoin ETFs look? Do we just see nothing but inflows throughout 2025? A good part of 2025, or does Wall Street also follow the cycle and plan to start selling in late 2025 potentially? That's something we don't know, and we'll just have to see what the spot Bitcoin ETFs do in terms of the 4-year cycle. I think Bitcoin will still be tied very closely to the 4-year cycle, but the spot Bitcoin ETFs could potentially cushion future crypto winters. One thing to think about with Bitcoin is the bigger the volatility, the bigger the range from cycle low to cycle top, the better. That's how you get the most gains. You buy during crypto winter when Bitcoin's low, when it's 15K, 20K, 30K, 40K, etc. You buy during the bad times. You sell during the crypto peak year, which in this case should be 2025. If you do that, if you just follow that, you should be doing very well. Same with the Bitcoin plays. You buy them when they're not in favor during crypto winter. Back when something like Iron was only $1, back when something like CleanSpark was well under $5, well under $2 even, back when btbt was a 50-cent stock, back when Sphere 3D was 30 cents. And while some of these haven't outperformed Bitcoin from cycle low to here, there are times that they have massively outperformed Bitcoin, and those times will return. It's a matter of them getting back to profitability, but you guys know that. Speaking of profitability, Bitcoin mining profitability rose in December for the second month in a row, as per JP Morgan. While that is some great news, the bank noted that miners' daily revenue and gross profit are still substantially below pre-halving levels. And the total market cap of the 14 Bitcoin mining stocks that the bank watches fell about 23% to 28 billion last month. Bitcoin miners' daily revenue gross profit hit the highest level since April. Daily revenue and gross profit per exahash is still 43% and 52% below pre-halving levels. Here's an article that has a little bit more to it. Bitcoin miners to soar in 2025 amid AI hosting and Bitcoin yield strategies. This is by Clearstreet. This report highlights growing pivot into HPC. The authors see a path for companies to diversify earnings beyond mining. BitDigital said to be transitioning into data center. They have been. This has been going on for months now. TeraWulf is noted for a new HPC agreement that could expand to over 100 megawatts of capacity. Clearstreet's figures show that HPC services can generate appealing per megawatt revenues with margin ranges depending on data center configuration, of course. And according to this report, political shifts may also bolster the industry's outlook. Trump's nominee for SEC Chair Paul Atkins has past involvement in digital asset initiatives, and the proposed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is seen as more receptive to crypto than previous leadership. However, Clearstreet also warns that cuts in federal spending on energy policy changes could introduce uncertainties, of course, if renewable energy credits get modified. And this analyst highlights several companies as top picks based on valuations, expansion potential, and current HPC roadmaps. Who's on the list? We got BitDigital, Bitfarms, CleanSpark, and TeraWulf. All four Clearstreet giving a buy. Here's their HODL balances. CleanSpark by far the largest. They are also not into HPC, so keep that in mind. Bitcoin price. Estimated USD value of their Bitcoin holdings, estimated annual yield of their holdings, and yield in a money amount. And here's something more about their recommendations. BitDigital is labeled a buy due to its shift towards HPC revenue. CleanSpark's presented as a favorite pure play miner supported by best-in-class energy strategies, a pipeline for growth throughout 2027. And TeraWulf has a larger multiple relative to others, but aims to justify it with new HPC deals, improved mining metrics. Bitfarms, regarded as a Bitcoin mining specialist, reportedly has stable energy contracts poised for a potential HPC foray into late 2025, early 2026. Their projections point to stronger revenue for participating miners as new practices mature, as capital inflows expand, and of course as Bitcoin goes up in price. Bitfarms, BitDigital, CleanSpark, and TeraWulf remain in focus based on Clearstreet's current forecasts. We need to reclaim that 100k psychological level. The Bitcoin miners are all selling off today except for Sphere 3D, which is kind of strange. But we have Bitcoin breaking under the 50 MA again. In my opinion, this month is going to be somewhat shaky. We have the Fed meeting. We have a lot of uncertainty because of the previous month. The market's going to be closely looking at inflation data. We're going to be getting that data next week. This Friday is a labor market report. The market is worrying about a soft landing right now. If inflation ticks up, how's the Fed going to be able to lower rates? And if unemployment rises, that makes things even more messy. You know, to me, this is a pretty ugly candle. I'm not a candlestick guy, but this looks to me like a bearish engulfing candle. We're about to break back under the 50 on the RSI. The RSI has been continuing to cool since November of 2024. Look at how the RSI is just cooling off while the price has pretty much been rising. This was a massive bearish divergence. Shout out to Shredder for pointing this out. And from this bearish divergence, we did see a pretty good correction. Now it's up to the market to decide, is this correction sufficient? Do we fall more? Do we head down towards this bottom of this pattern? Do we backtest the 92K? If we do either of these things, I think this is a last chance this cycle to buy Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think we're getting late into the cycle, obviously, but there are definitely people that are thinking about buying Bitcoin now. Rather than buying again in over 100K, here's a great chance to buy while it's under 100K. In my opinion, this is the chance to buy while it's under 100K. Otherwise, you might be waiting until next crypto winter if we even get it under 100K. I think we will. I personally think next crypto winter, our bear market low could be somewhere around 70,000 or something. It could potentially be 100K turns out as a support or attempts to be a support in the next crypto winter. If Bitcoin runs to 200K and has a 50% correction down to 100K, that would actually be a pretty tame crypto winter. So in my opinion, following the cycle, any pullbacks on Bitcoin over the next month, 2 months, first quarter of 2025, in my opinion, is a buy. If Bitcoin pumps throughout, I'd probably be cautious on future pullbacks. But what do you guys think? What's your strategy on Bitcoin? Do you just ignore the chart, DCA, buy and hold, a winning strategy over the very long term? Do you follow the cycles? Do you try to buy during crypto winter and sell during The Bitcoin bull market. Do you think the 4-year cycle is broken now with the spot Bitcoin ETFs? Is the next crypto winter going to be very tame, very mellow? You know, Bitcoin is known for 70% and above corrections in crypto winter. Are those gone for good now? Always interested in your opinion. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and here's to a great 2025.